half.
For a year and a half.
Yeah. So, what was it that you liked about the area? What kept you at Boot Key Harbor?
Oh, the people.
Yeah.
In Boot Key, depending on the season, it's a constant turnover of liveaboards, and different people come and go all the time. And every Thursday night we'd have the big cookout there on the docks and everything. And everybody, of course, all the single guys, we just bring chips and beer. But all the people you'd meet there, it was just great fun.
You grew up in Central Florida on the West Coast.
East Coast.
On the East Coast.
Melbourne.
But in Melbourne. Mm-hmm. Because the little town, I didn't recognize the name of it. I mean, I recognized Melbourne, but there was something else.
O'Galley.
What was it?
O'Galley.
O'Galley?
O'Galley is a small town in the north part of Melbourne that was incorporated into the city of Melbourne in 1970. And I went to O'Galley High School. Shout out. And but it was incorporated into Melbourne, but everybody in North Melbourne still calls it O'Galley.
Now, growing up, you had how many siblings in your family?
One sister and two brothers.
And so with your brothers, and maybe your sister probably too, she was probably a tomboy. No tomboy in the sister?
No, she was a girly girl.
I read where you would discover the swamps and in the rivers and the estuaries and all of that in that part of Florida, where the Native Americans lived. That must have been quite an upbringing.
We moved there in 1970. I was 12 years old. My brother Mike was 10 years old, and our other brother Eric was 6 years old. And my dad bought us a canoe. And he never saw us again after that.
Oh my gosh.
We were all over the Intercoastal Waterway, the Indian River, Turkey Creek, St. Johns River, Lake Washington.
Wow.
All the inland waterways, and we'd be out all weekend long. We'd camp out on the Spoil Islands, and we're 12 and 10 years old. But back then, it was perfectly safe. Couldn't do that today. But we got to learn our way around all the different waterways around there, and then we graduated to a small sailboat, and then a small power boat, and bigger power boat, and bigger power boat.
What a life. What a great life that was growing up.
It was great fun growing up.
Yeah, that had to add to your imagination, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you have a great imagination. You write fiction.
When you're out on the water, I mean, you see, hear, smell, and taste things that are totally different than here on land. And once you're out there, you can see everything a lot clearer, not just with your eyes, with your mind. Mm-hmm. And all your senses come alive, and it's just a whole different experience than on shore.
Now you have another series as well, Charity.
The Charity Style series. Enduring Charity will be published on Monday. That's the fourth book in this series.
Okay, congratulations.
Featuring a female protagonist, and she was a government assassin, but she lost her job. The election, but she's now she was touring around the Bahamas and the islands and the Caribbean with her boyfriend, but I don't want to give too much away, but she's flying solo these days.
Okay, and so they you crisscross fall in the series with the Charity series, is that right? Am I saying that correctly?
Well, Charity was a part of the team that Jesse McDermott was involved in all of the Fallen series, and in the fifth book, she split away and became this is all due to Randy Wainwright. He wrote Hannah Smith, the first novel. Anything Randy does, I'm going to do because he's a winner. He's a very successful writer, so I just do whatever Randy does. He came out with the Hannah Smith series, so I looked at all my female characters and I chose Charity, and she became the protagonist in the new series.
Nice. So it's getting ready to come out which day? What's the date?
On Monday.
On Monday. Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
A lot of hard work. How long does it take you to produce a book?
3 months. Jeez. Well, three months to write it, and then another month for my editors and proofreaders, cover designers, and all.
You make the rest of us authors look bad.
It's just takes a little self-discipline. 5 days a week, 1,000 words a day. It's not hard.
That statement reminds me of Zane Grey, the first author millionaire was Zane Grey, and that is the way that he worked here from the Florida Keys. He was
2 or 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, just like a regular job, but with a lot of time off.
Now, do you end with on a low note when you're writing? Do you end on a low note so you know exactly on the high note that you're going to start back on the next day?
I try to end my day's writing right at the peak of the action. So that way when I come back to it the next day, I go back and edit the previous 2 days' work. And by the time I get back up to where I left off, I'm caught up in my mind, my head's back in the story, and it's right at the pivotal scene, and it just flows out after that.
Is your family lonely?
I would say sometimes.
5 days a week?
I have a home office, and I'm in my office from 7 or 8 in the morning till after midnight usually. And only 2 or 3 hours of writing, but the business of publishing takes up a lot of time.
Sometimes I will go, I'm a writer myself, and sometimes I will go a full day and I'm still on the same paragraph. You know, just because I get so anal about it, and it's just so many different ways you can work just one paragraph, you know, and I won't stop working and reworking it, and it drives me insane.
I leave that to my editor.
I thought you were the editor.
No, I have professional editors, formatters, proofreaders, cover designers, just like the big publishing houses.
Very good. So how many books now have you produced?
This will be the 16th novel and the 17th book.
Very impressive.
Thank you.
And you have a bestseller series. That's The Fallen.
Yep. Well, the charity series is doing really well. With a new release, it does well. After that, it kind of drops down in ranking, but this new release should debut in the top 100 on Amazon.
You know, you kind of got to look about you like Ernest Hemingway. You know, is it the beard? Let me see.
Well, he's still got his hair, but
well, you never know now.
Y'all
Hemingway
can't see that
always
on
had
radio, but I'm bald as a billiard ball.
But I tell you, I can make you look exactly like Ernest Hemingway. I know the secret to the Hemingway beard, the cut of the Hemingway beard.
Oh, yeah.
One of my friends who was Ernest Hemingway, Papa Hemingway 2002, in the Hemingway Day celebration for his birthday that happens every July. He's a barber in the Hall of Fame, and he was also Papa Hemingway 2002, as I mentioned. And he cuts the others that are running for Papa this year.
That gives him a little bit of an advantage, doesn't it?
He cuts the beard to look like Hemingway. Oh, well, yeah, that's true, too, right? If he doesn't like you, oops, I slipped there.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I learned the cut. So if ever you'd like to look like Ernest Hemingway, maybe the holidays or something.
That's possible.
You let me know.
Yeah.
I'd like to cut your beard, sir.
No, that's not going to happen.
So how long has that beard been growing? Because it's quite long.
Since August.
August?
I shave once a year whether I need it or not.
And I'm your new best friend whether you want me to be or not.
Yes.
So let's talk about your parents. Did you get writing? Do you think you've got your imagination from your parents, or where did it come from? And when did you discover that?
From my mother, maybe. My mother she liked to tell stories. She told children's stories. I grew up in West Virginia. We didn't have a lot of money, so we didn't have books to read, but my mom would tell us stories. My dad couldn't read or write, so he was a workaholic. That's where I got my work ethic from, and I got my imagination, I guess, from my mother.
Wonderful. So she told you stories. That's a little bit, and I'm not trying to compare you to any other writers, because each his own. But that was the same thing Buffett would be Jimmy Buffett would say that his mother told the stories in the house, and that's why he's so.
I wish Jimmy would write more.
You do.
He is such a great storyteller. I've read Joe Merchant at least a dozen times, probably. Salty Piece of Land a half dozen times.
Awesome, right? Salty
Great
Piece of
story.
Land.
Great
the
story.
The Fresno Lighthouse. I wonder if there's a Fresno light up in the.
I don't think there is a light up there, is there? In
I don't
the Key
know.
West Lighthouse?
Yeah, I
It's
don't know if there is or
non-functional.
not. It looks to me like there is from pictures.
They're obsolete, really. I mean, today's GPS and technology, they can bring a ship to within 2 inches of where they want to be without any lighthouse or in total fog.
How did you choose Jesse McDermott as the name for your protagonist?
That I really can't answer. It happened so long ago. Jesse has been running around in my head since the 80s. He was the main character in the short stories that I wrote back in the 80s. And when I decided to go full-time or to try to write a novel, it was just natural that I use him. In short stories, he was a 4-year Marine, and he just got out. He was 26 years old. But in the novels, I had to make him a little older because, time passed. So in the novels, he's a 20-year retired Marine, 37 years old in the first novel. Now he's aging a little bit. He's in his late 40s now. But I tried to keep his timeline as close to mine as close to my own. But I had to set it in the past to make him young enough to be believable. So the first books take place in 1999 through 2008. And he's aged quite gracefully. He doesn't look anything like me. He's 6'3", 225 pounds, buff, built, swims every day, 3 miles.
Of course he is.
Yeah.
Of course he does.
Yeah, the women love Jesse. He's quite a popular character with my women readers.
Now, how long did it take you to write your first novel?
I started writing in early June 2013, and I finished it in October. Didn't even read it. Didn't even have anybody else read it, and uploaded it to Amazon, and that was a really big mistake.
Oh, what happened?
Well,
Nothing?
I didn't read it. There was a lot of mistakes.
Oh, there was.
Oh, yeah,
wow.
yeah. It was fraught with errors, misspelling, poor punctuation, and of course, anybody that read it told me that in reviews. So I pulled it down and had a friend whose wife was a retired English teacher to read it, and I gotta love this woman. She printed it out and then used a red ink pen and made all the corrections all through 225 pages, and then put it all into a FedEx box and shipped it back to me. And so I spent days going through.
I know you
just
did.
like an English teacher.
Right.
That's what she was.
250 pages you had to go back in and correct.
Yeah.
Where she showed you the corrections.
That took another month.
Oh, I believe it. It's just painful to me to even hear you say it. I just want to crumble like a piece of old aluminum foil. Oh, no.
And during that time, I was writing the second book.
Oh, no.
So it was. I was a truck driver at the time, and I was over the road, and I hauled mostly oversized loads, which can only move during daylight. And in the wintertime, that left me from 6 o'clock in the evening or 5 o'clock in the evening till 7 or 8 in the morning. And I only sleep 6 hours a day, so I had a lot of free time. And I used that to write.
So, but you sleep your 6 hours a day.
Yeah.
You get all your rest.
I got to get my rest.
Got to get your rest. Got to take that nap. What, no nap in the middle of the day?
I haven't taken a nap in a long time, Hal. It's been. I fall asleep while I'm writing sometimes. Does that count?
Yeah, I guess that does count. That would be a nap. So, Wayne, what's your middle name?
Edwin,
Edwin.
after my grandfather.
Edwin, yeah. All right. Now, let's talk about, again, go back to your childhood, because I love the childhood. And I love, oh, by the way, I want to tell you something. Do you know that Key West is sitting on an ancient burial ground for the Calusa Indians?
I knew the Calusa were here. I didn't know there was a burial ground here.
This is where, well, they just buried him on top of the coral, and they would, do a funeral pyre and burn them up. And they would come from all of the Florida Keys whenever there was a funeral and put the bodies, on top of the Key West. So all of Key West is basically haunted, except for my office at the Smoking Tuna Saloon, because I had a woman come in and do a ritual and bless the office. And
Got to get rid of those spirits.
got to get rid of
bad vibes, bad juju.
They might have been a little upset. Is somebody waving at me? No, nobody's waving at me. All right, so let's talk about Charity. I love Charity.
Charity is very difficult for me to write.
How's that?
She's a woman.
Yeah.
I'm not. And writing from a woman's point of view, it's not the same. We share the same emotions, love, hate, anger, but women feel emotions a lot more deeply. With men, the emotion is on or off. With women, it's a rheostat. It goes up slowly and down slowly. And to write from that point of view, it's not easy for a man. I don't know how Randy does it, but it's been really difficult.
It would be, yeah. I mean, now that you put it that way, I would think you would be. Is that shrimp coming in the door? Oh, it is shrimp. It's jumbo, pink jumbos from Key West. Yeah. Yummy. Yeah, you're exactly right. Women heat up. They heat up and they turn down slowly.
And the different emotions are more prevalent in men or women, and not so prevalent in the other. And trying to capture that and keep it realistic is the difficult part. But she's a government assassin, so she has really no emotion. She's kind of zero. She's cold and merciless.
Right.
And in fact, that's the name of the first book, is Merciless Charity. I tried to title all those books so that the title was a juxtaposition. There's Merciless Charity, Ruthless Charity, Reckless Charity, and now Enduring Charity.
Wow. Well, I'm definitely going to have to read that series. That fascinates me. Women who want to get out there and shoot up. I don't want to shoot up anybody.
She's not your average woman. She was an Olympic swimmer.
Okay.
And then joined the Army after 9/11, became a helicopter pilot, and got shot down, taken by the Taliban. And then fast forward a few years, she became a Miami cop, and then she was tapped to join Homeland Security. And it's Homeland Security is where she got to meet Jesse and work with Jesse and Deuce and all the rest of the team.
Interesting. I love her.
She's a very, very cool character.
Yeah, I love her.
Like
So do you have to ask your wife about the emotions that you're trying to put into?
Sometimes. I try not to bother her too much with it, because she's got a pretty full plate as it is. She's the manager of the business.
Oh, I'll be darned. Congratulations. Got somebody you can trust, huh?
Yeah.
She's got you right there. Business never stops at the house.
And Jordan is the ship store manager. She takes care of all the T-shirts and coffee mugs.
Okay.
Online sales.
So you can go online and you can buy a Wayne Stinnett T-shirt or Jesse McDermott T-shirt.
It's a Rusty Anchor Bar and Grill.
Yeah, okay.
And Gaspar's Revenge is the name of Jesse's boat.
Oh.
He's a charter fisherman.
Okay. Gaspar.
Gasparilla?
Yeah,
the
Gasparilla.
pirate.
Gasparilla's Revenge. Okay, that sounds great. Let's talk about truck driving. I love truck drivers. I think I was a truck driver in another life, because I just can't stop driving. I will drive until I'll drive 12, 14 hours.
I love to drive. It's my passion. It
It's
always
therapy,
has been.
isn't it?
Yeah.
For some, it's therapy. If you're if you don't have the backseat drivers back there holding tight and making you feel nervous, kicking your back seat, you're all okay.
Yeah.
So you were a truck driver for how long?
13 years.
How does that play into your series?
Not one bit.
No?
No. There's not a single truck in any book.
All the sailboat, huh?
It's all boats
All the
and
sloop.
swimming and undersea adventure and
Caribbean.
helicopters and airplanes.
Caribbean adventures.
Yeah, no trucks.
Okay, well that's very interesting. He's done all of these things, but he doesn't put them in the. You don't put them in the books. You want to be a woman.
Well, it's hard to have an action hero that is in a different place. Well, Jesse's gets around quite a bit, but by boat. I guess in a way it's sort of like that, because he travels all over the Caribbean, and Charity travels all over the Caribbean in her boat, and so he's delivering things with guns, people with guns.
Oh.
And he was a transportation contractor for Homeland Security, and he would carry the team to wherever they needed to go. They were part of the Caribbean Counterterrorism Command. And they would seek out Caribbean or terrorist threats in the Caribbean and neutralize them.
Wow. Do you travel the Caribbean? I say Caribbean. You say Caribbean.
Caribbean, you say tomato, I say tomato.
Exactly.
I used to. I haven't. I live in South Carolina now. I've been pretty much a homebody for the last 17 years. I had to check and see how old Jordan was.
Oh, that's how you know, huh? So you kind of retired within your home.
Right.
And then your daughter came along, and so that's how you keep a. Now she's a bass player.
Yes.
Gonna be a bass player.
She's quite an accomplished bass player.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing to be so young and accomplished like that. And you, sir, are a guitar player.
Yeah, if you could count being able to do the A scale. And I've got C and G, and I'm working on C and W and R&B.
Who's teaching you these things?
Jordy's bass instructor.
A bass instructor she is.
No, her instructor.
Her bass instructor, right.
Yeah, he's a very, very good musician. Great guitar player.
What a cool instrument to play, though, the bass.
Yeah.
Yeah?
And she looks cool doing it, too.
Oh, I'll bet. Congratulations, Jordan, on that. Can't wait to hear her play. Is she playing anywhere? Does she perform?
No, she's, keep trying to get her to get some friends together, because she's got a really big bedroom. She's got all her equipment up there, three amps and 3 guitars, and so she should have some friends come over and jam. So, but she's a little bit shy, so she hasn't done that yet. So
it's called a garage band.
I can learn how to play guitar, and I'll be your band.
Oh, how sweet is that? That's really loving your daughter, right?
Yeah.
Or loving music, one.
I love live music.
I do too.
I'd much rather sit down and listen to live music than a CD or album.
Yeah, that's live music we have going on in the back of the Salty Angler here. Roger Joe Keller. Yeah, he's entertaining. All right, so where do we go to get your, what do we get? What do you have for sale that's Jesse McDermott things? Where do we get those?
Aside from the books, we sell T-shirts, coffee mugs, oval stickers for every street sign in Key West. What else do we sell, Jordan? Barbecue aprons, tote bags.
Okay, a lot of swag.
Just a lot of swag.
Well, so where do we go to get those?
www.waynestinnett.com.
There you go. That's pretty
simple. Spelled just like it sounds.
WayneStinnett.com. That's
it's
wonderful.
2 N's, 2 T's.
Two N's, 2 T's. I'm going to go there and check that out and get me a T-shirt. You got T-shirts?
Yeah.
Got T-shirts. I thought I heard you say that. I collect T-shirts myself.
Me too.
When I go on vacation, that's what I get is a T-shirt. And then I sleep in them and ruin them, and
I've got Eric Stone's new T-shirt on now.
Oh, that's Eric's T-shirt.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
His new album's coming out later this month. All the rest. On that album is the Rusty Anchor Bar and Grill, which is a song about the main watering hole in my books.
The Rusty Anchor.
The Rusty Anchor.
You know, there really is a Rusty Anchor.
Here in Key West, but that's Rusty Anchor Restaurant. This is Rusty Anchor Bar and Grill.
Right, different. There
and
you
I've got
go.
the rights to that name, so don't try to steal it.
I'm not. Wouldn't do it. Hey, but I do like fried food.
He has a Jamaican chef by the name of Rufus, who's somewhere in his between 60 and 100 years old. Nobody knows. And he is one of the top chefs in all the Keys. He's a retired 5-star restaurant Jamaican chef. And he's a really, really interesting character. I love Rufus.
Rufus. Like the name, Rufus.
Where that came from, I don't know, but it just snapped into my head. And after I'd written the book, this was in the very first book, I wrote it, had it published, and then about a month later, I found a new-to-me writer by the name of Michael Reisig, who is probably listening right now. Hi, Michael.
Okay,
And
very good.
I was reading his first book, On the Road to Key West, and I get about a third into the book, and I find that his 2 characters, Will and Kansas, run into this Jamaican mystic whose name is Rufus. And I was like, oh my God.
Fascinating.
How could this possibly happen? A few days later, I got an email from Michael Reisig. And I sat there and stared at that email on my inbox for a good 20 minutes before I opened it. And long story short, we just chalked it up to being in the same place about the same time and the same experiences. I'm sure we bumped elbows or spilled beer on each other in a bar somewhere in Marathon.
So is Marathon still to this day your favorite island, or do you have another favorite island in the Florida Keys?
I don't really have a favorite. Marathon was where I was living for a while, so I know it real well. Where he lives is up in the Content Keys, and I used to go camping up there. I'd go up on a Friday afternoon and spend the weekend up there fly fishing in Harbor Channel. And so it was just natural for me to put him there. So he cleared the island, he dug a channel to it and brought his boat up there. But for a long time, he just lived aboard at dockside.
And you're such a young man.
Oh, thank you.
To have had all these careers and, yeah. Truck, what did you deliver in your trucks?
Mostly oversized loads. I hauled, have you ever seen the big mine trucks with tires 14 feet tall? And we delivered those from Lexington, South Carolina, out to the copper mines and gold mines and coal mines out in Wyoming and Utah.
Where can we get your books?
On Amazon.
Amazon.
Or on my website.
Yep, the Jesse McDermott series, Fallen. And tell me what your protagonist's name is, the female protagonist?
Charity Styles.
Charity. Well, I knew it was Charity, but that's her name is Charity.
Charity Styles, yeah.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that.
Her real name before was Stileski, and that only comes out in one book, but her father changed that when he emigrated to the United States from Poland.
E-books. It comes in an e-book?
E-book, paperback, and audio.
Okay, very good. Wayne, I can't tell you what a privilege it is to have sat here and talked to you today.
It's been a great pleasure.
Author Wayne Stinnett from the Jesse McDermott series and the Charity series. Pick it up. Get the whole series. Pick it up, and if you want to buy some swag, some cool swag, you go to www.waynestinnett.com. Simple as that, right?
Simple as that.
All right. Thank you so very much. We're going to smoke that cigar when we're done here, right?
Right.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.